7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Welcome to Black Noir Radio.
What's going on, fellas? You know, that line always gets me to giggle. Welcome to Boîte Noire Radio. Look, guys, thank you so much for watching us. If you're a returning person, you know we appreciate you more than you know. If you're a new person, please don't forget to press like and, of course, subscribe if you haven't done so. Today, I am co-hosted by my wonderful friend. His name is...
Beefy, your shit-talking squirrel friend.
And I am your host, Alistair, and we have an awesome guest today. She's a regular, and but you know, she crossed over to the other side of Boîte Noire. And of course, as you can see, it's Alicia. Hi, Alicia.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
So welcome. So Alicia, if I may ask, what's the B for?
Brock, my last name.
Ah, okay. You know,
Yeah.
I was good. I was like Alicia the bitch. You know what I mean? But okay.
Yeah, no, not anything nearly as awesome. I
Well,
wish.
isn't your business also called like Bee's Knees or something? 'Cause
Yeah,
Oh, the bee's
yeah.
knees.
Yeah, because we're the bee's knees.
I love that expression. I think the bee's knees. It's like the bee's knees, the cat's meow,
hmm
the fish bubble.
Yeah.
She's behind the scenes on content creation too. She does marketing and whatever. Do you want to just talk quickly about all that is that
Yeah,
you do?
I work and help small businesses find themselves on social media and kind of carve out their own little niche on social media. So it's a lot of fun, and working with small businesses is always hectic and crazy, but I also have a great passion for true crime and all the things. Y'all.
Yeah, I
Let
was
me
gonna
tell you.
say, like, more importantly, she knows a lot about the case we're gonna cover today. So
Yeah.
we decided we were gonna do this. I couldn't think of anyone better but her to hop on here because
Yeah.
she's very informed on this lady. She's a little
Poor
crazy.
VP's had me just spamming him. Oh my God, did you see this? Oh my God, did you read this? And he's like,
Yeah.
save it.
I love
Save it.
Yeah.
Oh, Alicia, you're like, save it. Everybody freeze. Now, Alicia, do you know a lot about Frankie because you're a stalker like the rest of us, or because you're nosy like all of us?
Nosy. Like after this case totally broke, I was like, what is going on over here? I need to figure this out.
Yeah, it's
I need
insane.
to make sense of this. Like, especially when you have kids involved. I'm a mom, you're a dad, you get it. Like once you have littles involved, you're like, what is going on?
Exactly. And the crazy thing about this, because the whole world was like, who are you talking about? What is going on? No, not them. It's the way they were caught. Like those kids still thought it was normal to be abused like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that there's just like there's no rules, there's no laws that are really protecting kids when it comes to being put on social media by their parents. You know, the parents can take all of the money. There's no protection for them. You know, they're kind of forced into a lot of crazy places. You know, whereas like child actors, there's laws in place, but
Oh, great point.
with the social media stuff, there isn't yet. We're kind of behind the times with that. So
Oh my
it's
God,
hard to see.
very great point already. I have so many questions, but I don't want to take away too much of the main goal here. Beefy, let's get to it. But I want to have a question sections because Alicia, you made my brain scratch, and I need to itch it.
Ooh, I love you. Love to give it an itch to scratch.
Let me
Rocky
scratch your
Horror.
brain, baby.
Little Rocky Horse, you know.
Oh wow. Hello, Just Jonesy. Hi. One last question. How was everybody's weekend? I know it's Thursday, but I haven't seen you in I haven't heard of it's been almost 5 days.
Yeah.
You all been
Mine was
good?
good.
Okay.
You have
Alicia,
a good
you
weekend?
been good?
Yeah, everything's good. I have a long weekend coming up, so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I was a single parent temporarily. The hardest thing ever. I think all
Tell me about it.
every single parents deserve the world. What do you need? Check. What do you want? Check. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You had Chris was out of town, so you were
Yeah, Chris
alone.
was out of town enjoying himself, doing cartwheels, backflips, exercising. Yeah, I was, and then taking pictures of it and laughing like, oh, so nice. I slept all very good. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you did. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just resent him, and you're like, I'm gonna eat you. I'm gonna
Exactly.
eat you. I'm gonna eat you
Hurry
like
up
a
home.
chicken.
Oh my God. Okay, so Beefy, take us to the true crime.
Oh yeah, we have to dive into it today, ladies and gents. Before we do, we gotta play everybody's favorite theme song. Ruby! The lady in the hour! Alright, I better stop before we get demonetized. Ruby, 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 Ruby! Oh, everyone's favorite, right? Everyone loves a good old Ruby. And let me tell you.
Random.
Oh, that's Guitar Hero, man. Guitar Hero 3? You didn't play Guitar Hero?
No, I'm sorry. No. Guitar was not my instrument. No.
Well, it's a video. Whatever. Besides the point. Everybody's favorite woman to hate for the moment, fucking Ruby Franke.
Yeah.
But really, before we dive into Ruby as a person, and she is a whole mouthful. Just look at her, quite the woman. We really had to talk about a YouTube channel by the name of 8 Passengers. And this channel, it showed the lovable exploits of a typical Mormon family and the trial and tribulations of parenting through its titular host and subject of today's presentation, Ruby Franke.
Mm-hmm.
That's her right there. Although the arrest of the matriarch behind the family vlog channel may have come to a surprise to most, for some, her arrest would come as nothing but a sigh of relief, so to speak, as her unusual and borderline abusive parenting style has been on full display since the family vlog channel boom of 2015, seeing the rise of such channels as Ebe, we all know her, Ebe, I don't know how the hell you say it.
I don't know. I don't know any of those. No idea.
You don't know the Ace Family?
I guess I don't watch them. I guess I don't watch that many family shows.
You're not missing much. You're living it every day. Like the shit you see on those channels. If you have kids, yeah, it's Alicia, I'm sure she could tell you firsthand that if you're
I don't necessarily need to watch it. I live it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And everybody knows this guy.
No, who's this?
Daddy 05. Oh, this guy.
Single father of 5?
No.
Oh.
He was the dad of a family of 5, and he got himself into some hot water himself with his YouTube escapades, and he was the first YouTuber to get brought up on abuse charges, and his family was ultimately taken away from him. But he's not the one we are here to talk about today.
No.
He did get, like I said, exposed. People started to call him out on his abusive stuff, just as they did with Ruby, in the comments, and he faced as much. I don't think he even got arrested, did he? Or I don't know. But whatever. He's, like I said, he's not weird. So, but much like Ruby, it's almost creepy how similar these two channels are.
Wow.
And they were taking over YouTube and amassing these massive followings that were racking in the hundreds of millions of views collectively.
Wow.
The content was intended to show kind of a slice of life of your everyday happy Mormon family, but as it quickly became apparent, the reality of what was going on behind the scenes and even sometimes during the scenes was anything as far from it. Mm-hmm. With several examples of Ruby starving her children as forms of punishment, several examples of her threatening to withhold dinner from her children for various reasons, And one particularly eyebrow-raising segment, Ruby can be seen speaking to the camera about her worrying over other kids at school are going to give her daughter food because she sent her own daughter to school without a lunch. I'm going to show you a clip here. It's insane, by the way, that you would send a 6-year-old to school without a lunch as a form of punishment. Yeah, absolutely crazy.
And you know,
I was going to cut in and say, like, we're talking about a 6-year-old here, by the way. Like, we're not talking about a teenager that has a little bit more capability of helping themselves. We're talking about a child.
Right.
So
And
appropriate
also-
that you have the little one chiming in
I
the
know.
background there. He's almost like, "Oh my God, make it stop!"
Right.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I still
No,
have
you're good.
kiddos.
Yeah, very on point for what we're covering today.
The control, and the viewer is her approving partner in crime.
Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
Mom, can you give me some breakfast? You don't need food.
Everything that comes into this house belongs to who?
Yeah.
Belongs to me.
Oh my God!
Really won't get anything for summer. I won't be able to go.
And she's just put it like she's proud of this. Like she's putting
Yeah.
it out for the whole world to see. Like, you know, this is what she wants her YouTube channel to be representative of. You know, of her telling her kids,
Yeah.
"Go to school. I'm not. It's fucking insane."
Can I,
want to
can
take
I
a step.
go ahead?
I just
Alicia.
want to interject here just to say, like, this is not typical of Mormon religion. Just to say, like, this is not typical of the Mormon church. But yeah, she is crazy monster lady.
Yeah. I was even going to go a little bit on the sideline and say, because this is a YouTube family, I'll be willing to bet when she looked at the algorithm, she saw that there was a higher reaction when she was mean and demeaning to her kids, and she went along with the YouTube algorithm just to get the dollars. What do you think?
Like she leaned into it. Yeah, it's almost
Leaned
like
into it.
the Kanye effect. You know what I mean? That's you got to get
Because-
people talking. So
Yeah.
Like, she got confirmation that this is what she's supposed to be doing. This is what
Exactly.
people were like watching it, so she should be acting like this.
She
Oh,
should
that
be
makes me
acting like
nauseous.
Right. Because it's either, I mean, I personal opinion, I think she's a psycho. I think she's a psychopath. And what better way to feed a narcissistic, the narcissism in a psychopath is to positive reinforcement of money and fame. So yeah,
I think regardless of what her ultimate motivations were, she is prioritizing the YouTube channel and putting her kids on display beyond their own benefit, you know, beyond being a mother. You know, her responsibility to these children to bring them up healthy came second to her seeking YouTube fame, which is
Yeah, she became a mom second to being their manager, and that's just
Yeah, and then also notice how she's always dolled up, always done up. So there's a lot of premeditation to all of these videos, which you know.
Oh yes, and she would berate her daughters if they were not looking as such, and they're like, you're not looking good enough, you're not pretty enough. Her daughter is like 13, coming downstairs with her hair braided for school after taking a shower, like just going to school, no makeup on, just a little teenager.
Right.
Is this her oldest daughter, Sherry?
No, this is her middle daughter.
Wow.
Okay.
So not the eldest. And she's like, oh no, you don't look pretty enough. You need to go upstairs and do your hair and be pretty. And it's like, wow, what kind of impact that's going to leave on that kid. Just, oh, hurts my heart.
Cringe.
I don't have any friends, no iPads, no TV, nothing.
I cannot wait to hug them and to smell them and to lick them.
Oh God.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months.
Oh, okay, so we're gonna get into the bedroom thing here in a second. So we'll just we'll pause that for now. Okay. Even more concerning would be the treatment of their eldest son, Chad Frank, beginning with Ruby taking away his bedroom and forcing a grown teenager to sleep on a beanbag. I want to take a moment and talk about this. Right. So we have a teenage kid that she takes away his mattress and is forcing him to sleep on a beanbag chair. Right. Beyond like the physical effects of a teenage body, like try to imagine a long and lanky teenager trying to curl up into a little ball, trying to sleep on a beanbag chair. What's really fucked up about it is how degrading it is. Like, kids don't own a lot. Most everything in the house, right, belongs to the parents. They don't own the TV. They don't own the stove. Save for maybe some clothes or toys or whatever.
Mhm.
Everything in their house doesn't belong to them except for what, right? The one piece of furniture they can say is actually theirs, right? The bed, it's sanctuary, a safe space. It's the one spot in an entire household that's exclusively for them.
Mhm.
When you take away a child's bed, what you're telling that child is that they aren't worthy of just the basics of decency of even just going to bed at night. And they say children learn through living. That kid is subconsciously being told by his mother that you are literally not worth the bed that you sleep upon.
He's worthless.
Yeah, it's such a disgusting overexertion of power. Like, it goes beyond humiliation. Like, think about it like this, right? Even prisoners on fucking death row, what's like the two things they get, right? A bed and a fucking toilet. And she's basically treating her kids worse than prisoners on fucking death row. It drives me up the wall.
Yeah.
It's so fucking gross.
Yeah.
And, the fact that a teenage boy deserves some sort of privacy to be able to have that sense of being able to, like, I know at the end of the day, I want to be able to go to my room and just kind of relax and let things go from the end of, from doing everything, dealing with siblings. I can't imagine being forced. Like, he didn't even have his bedroom. They took the whole room away. He wasn't even allowed in the room. So I think he had to sleep in like the living room.
Living room, right? In a
Oh my
communal
god! I didn't
So he
even
didn't
hear
even
that
have.
part.
He didn't even have like
privacy.
exactly, a sense of his own space for like 7 months. It's just absolutely
It's gonna
absurd.
seriously fuck
And
up
look at the
way
smile she has about that. Look at the smile on her face. Look at that smirk. It's so gross. It's just
It's an uncomfortable smirk because I think that's where Chad revealed something she didn't want the viewers to know.
Yeah, that his bed was taken away.
Yeah,
Exactly
and
that.
he was kind of like, oh, you're gonna talk about that? I'm gonna get you after this video. Because Chad immediately was like, oh my god, what did I do? What did I say? Oopsies. But also for developmental purposes, it's
That's what I was about to say. Is this kid is an adult.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry. Go ahead.
he's not an adult, right? He's not 18.
No, but the point I was about to make is when he grows up to be
Oh,
an
yeah.
adult, it's gonna forever change the way he views his possessions, and it's gonna fuck up the way he developed as his relationship with going to sleep and the way he owns things. It's completely
confidence. It's actually going to. I read a very interesting book when it comes to trauma on children from narcissistic parents. The self-esteem is completely shattered. They almost have to rebuild themselves when they grow up, and they'll have issues with authority. Their voice get lost, and the sense of self is not that great. So I wouldn't be surprised if this kid, grows up with a lot of self-doubt with teenage years. Teenagers, you already have self-doubt to begin with, and then you have that trauma on top of that.
Yeah, and we heard it earlier, the kid saying it. We're going to hear him talk about it in a second, how none of these kids have friends because their whole lives are on full display for the entire school to see. So imagine like going to school and you're like the most personal moments of your life, the things that are most embarrassing, everybody knows about. Like they know who your sisters are, they know the moment that you peed the bed, whatever, So no, of course they don't have friends.
And of course, Ruby was also making money off of ads. When you are a vlogger, a lot of that money is made from, ads and promotions and sponsors. So she had these kids promoting overnight diapers that were well potty trained.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
and
God,
forcing them to do commercials for overnight diapers that they don't even need. And I'm like, what is that doing to that poor kid?
The kids at school, like, oh, you wearing your diaper today?
Yeah. Oh my
Frankie?
gosh.
Oh God. Fuck
Oh,
up.
wow.
It just.
That's crazy.
But yeah, let's take a look at this, and we'll see firsthand how all this emotional abuse is affecting it, and you can literally see it on this kid's face how distraught he is over this whole situation. So keep an eye on him a little more than Ruby here as we watch this.
Months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
I was sleeping on a beanbag since October. And they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'll give you the reason why I lost my bedroom. I think so. I think this is the reason. At least this is the reason that's been in my head. It's pretty funny, but now that I look back, it was pretty depressing.
No, we never told our viewers.
That I woke Russell up at 2 in the morning and told him that we're going to Disneyland and he has to pack. And he got up and made his bed all neatly and then packed all his clothes in the suitcase. And then
Oh
he
my
walked out
God.
the door and I'm like, Russell, and he's like, what? And he's all happy. Has his sunglasses on.
Do you think it's funny? Because
And then I walk out.
if
and-
you think it's funny, then that was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom.
Oh,
It was not funny.
Russell got the big bedroom and Chad got the smaller bedroom. And Russell's bigger bedroom also had a bathroom. But what you guys didn't know was Chad didn't get any room. He didn't get anything. He was sleeping on the floor in the family room. Abby, we took the phone away from Abby.
they had him on the floor at one point.
in November.
Oh,
And,
I was gonna
and
go
you
blind.
may never get the phone back.
Probably not.
No, I have no friends.
You can play with friends.
No, like I don't have friends.
I don't have friends either.
I literally like told my friends I'm not hanging out with them.
Because those
They say some pretty messed up stuff.
Oh, yeah, but I don't even know where they live. They're pretty far away.
So, summer goal, become the best athlete I possibly can.
We're gonna go.
Wow. Depressing shit. I mean, you hear from both the kids there, right? That neither of them have friends. And you can almost see how afraid of her he is in that little clip there. And that's just one segment.
Yeah, and also you can see how Frankie is exerting her power. Oh, maybe you need more time. 7 months is not enough. Clearly, you didn't understand your lesson. Maybe you need to take your room away from you some more. That's insane.
Jonesy here, she's saying, I remember the bedroom scene. She was beyond furious. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Sadie, how you doing today? Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today, by the way. Okay. So just as you heard, a clash here between the eldest son acting out and these extreme parenting techniques. Chad ultimately would be sent to the Anasazi Foundation. Here, let me get my little thing back up here.
Wow. That's insane.
The Anasazi Foundation, I'm not saying it right. Anasazi, I guess? It's
I
a
like
wilderness
the
program.
tagline. Change starts with connection, not.
Yeah.
Damn.
There was more, but I actually clipped it off. But yeah, that is
okay. I was like, interesting
That's pretty
foundation.
timely.
Looks like. Let's donate.
Maybe that is the. I don't remember.
Change does not start with connection. It's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, they end up sending him to this wilderness program. Like it wasn't enough to take away the kid's fucking bed. They basically had to, they take away his beanbag chair, his clothes. They stuck him out in the desert with a bunch of other troubled teens to go survive in the desert with nothing more than I think just underwear. He was all allowed to pack, like 35 pairs of, like that's real when you sign up for this thing.
Yes.
They tell you.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes. That's what I was confirming with you. Yeah, they just told him to pack like 35 pairs of clean underwear.
Yeah, it's not definitely not a great program. This isn't like something rich people send their kids as a fun little excursion. It's very much meant to like kind of beat submission into a disobedient.
Is there any sexual abuse there?
So we're going to get into some of the allegations onto the Anasazi Foundation, but we don't. There's nothing to suggest anything like that happened to Chad, but we'll hear testimony here in a little bit about some people that went to this camp.
Of course.
So,
of course.
It describes itself as an outdoor behavioral healthcare program for children 12 to 17 who struggle with, quote, defiance, family conflict, mental health, lack of motivation, and other self-defeating behaviors. basically, Chad had to go on a month-long hike with nothing more than a backpack of clothes and a sleeping bag to sleep on the ground. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, they literally do, it's like a month-long mucker arch.
Are they feeding them?
Yeah, they bring food along with them, but it's not like they're not going to eat, like, drink the bug juice at a camp somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, they're eating food in the wilderness that fits into a backpack. Like, it's literally like in the Marine Corps, right at the final phase of boot camp. For Marines, they have like what they call the crucible, and it's just like this. They take a giant bag. It's literally meant to train soldiers. That this giant bag goes on them, and they all just march in a line for like days at a time. My brother is from the Marines, and he told me this was like the thing he hated most about the Marine Corps. And he went through the whole thing. Like, I mean, it's literally designed to be like the worst experience a human can go through. And this was the worst part of it. And it's comparable to what they sent this kid. Oh, God, it makes me so fucking angry. So yeah, let's take a look at this. YouTube channel Tesmosis does a pretty deep dive into what these programs actually do and the effects they have on troubled teens that attend them. So I'm just going to get this loaded up here. But so you guys are both parents. Would either of you ever consider sending your kid to something like this?
Absolutely not.
No.
First of all, I'm very sensitive to the whole sexual abuse situation. So you best believe Olympia will have a hawk of a papa to be like, what's going on? What's happening? Can I see this? No, get out of here with that. I'm not sending my daughter anywhere near grown-ups without some spy cameras going on.
Yeah, I don't even trust other grown-ups around my kids. Like, it's I don't, no.
All right, well, let's take a look at this camp.
Sign up for this. What could go wrong at a facility in the middle of nowhere, run by who knows who, with zero surveillance or direct contact with the outside world? Well, because one's blessing in another form can be one's nightmare. And there's no way a wholesome teen rehabilitation camp would lie to you to get you to sign up and pay the fees, like any other business that is a business.
How dare you?
We're back
this guy's
exposing
awesome.
The abuse and torment of teens in private boot camps that claim to fix behavioral problems with tough love. You just heard from survivors. But what about the parents who put their teens in these programs? One mother says doing so was the worst decision of her life.
My son loved to be outside, loved camping. He didn't skip school. He didn't do drugs. He lacked confidence. So I looked into wilderness therapy. They took children out to the wilderness, taught them all about it, and to gain confidence, that sounded like a good fit. I asked them all the questions that everybody says were the right questions. My son wanted to go to this camp. He wanted to go and have fun and learn. I was not allowed contact with my son for the first week. I had no idea he was being abused. He was asked to carry a pack that weighed a substantial amount, and he needed to sit down. And they told him no, and they literally dragged him by the arms. I was told that no force would ever be used.
Yeah, we'll take real good care of your son, right up until you sign the check for payment.
6 days into the program, I got a phone call from the director that my son was having trouble breathing and to stay by the phone. 15 minutes later, I got a phone call that he was being life-flighted to the hospital.
This is another issue. Obviously, the camp counselors aren't properly medically trained in case of emergency. That'd cost too much money. If there is a serious medical concern, they're in the middle of freaking nowhere.
My husband and I were on our way to the hospital when we got a call from the doctor and asked us to pull over. The doctor got on the phone and said that he couldn't save him and he was sorry. My son died after being at the wilderness therapy for 6 days.
Can you imagine? You send your kid off to this nice little fun camping adventure to get out of his shell and build confidence, and in less than a week, he's lost forever?
My son was killed September 18th, which is also my birthday. I did not have any contact with my son before he died. The medical examiner's report states he had 2 bruises on the back of his head in the shape of the butt end of a walkie-talkie. Bruises on the back of his leg. He had bruising on his liver and his spleen.
What?
They beat the shit
So
out
you're
of him.
telling me that there's sick and twisted people on power trips that will go out for these exact kinds of jobs, specifically for the access to what are supposed to be delinquents that you're allowed to punish without mercy? Hasn't anyone ever seen the Stanford Prison Experiment?
Based on the medical examiner's report, the cause of death is homicide. I got a letter 2 days after he died that he had written to me. After a few days here, I wanted to leave, but now it's just kind of fun. I really want to get out of here, so can you please get me out of here? Mom said they don't use physical punishment, but they do. Like on a hike, a person said if you need to take a break, stop for a minute. Well, I did, and I got drugged the rest of the way for 1.5 miles. Please help me. Love lots and always, Eddie. If I had gotten that letter 2 days before, I'd not be dead. I placed him in a position that he should have never been in.
It's like almost difficult to watch. Jump ahead here a little bit here from here again.
Asked them to review them prior to ever sending him there. And they said they did. And I talked to them on the phone for hours. And they said, oh, it's a great fit. What I do want to tell everybody, I am not a scientist or extremely bright, but I am also not a stupid mother. My son went to school every day, didn't skip, didn't do drugs. He was a good kid. He just lacked confidence. And I was told this program would do that for him.
Wow.
Delinquent or not?
Yeah, just like almost hard to watch, you know.
Tell me the mom sued them to the ground. Tell me something came out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, like she said, that the medical examiner said that it was murder. So you have to think that somebody was brought up on charges, but I couldn't find anything. That was the only clip that I could find in relation to
that name again?
Camp Anasazi. I'm not sure how to say it. Anasazi. Here, hang on, let me put up.
You can Google a camp. Obviously, it's still open
Anasazi.
because
yeah, the website's still there. Yeah, they're still doing it. Fucked up.
And there are a dime a dozen. There's 100 of them out there. I mean,
oh really? Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Phil used to send his children, people that he would see, to
the
a
ranch.
camp. Yeah,
ranch.
yeah,
You always
they got
hear about
shut
that.
down
You're
for
going
the
to the ranch.
same reason. They got shut down for the same type of stuff, like the type of abuse and horrible stuff that was coming out of that place was ridiculous. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't know that Dr. Phil was doing one of these camps. Go figure. Okay, so it's at this point in the story that her audience begins to kind of turn on her. You know, although there had been backlash surrounding the starvation allegations, that the extreme parenting methods exerted onto Chad resulted in a Change.org petition being signed by tens of thousands, which it would in turn spark the attention of Child Protective Services. Several news organizations and YouTube channels would pick up on the story, and the resulting backlash would, ultimately whittle her following down to a fraction of what it once was. And in response to the controversy, Ruby and her husband, Kevin Franke, they told news website Insider that some accounts had malicious intentions and purposely took the clips out of context. Quote, they were purely seeking to throw hate. That was their only objective. A reasonable person would not have seen that video and thought she is a child abuser. That's what Ruby is saying to this news website.
You mean the husband?
No, Ruby said that to the. I mean, it was their collective statement, but yeah, that was presented as Ruby's comments on the thing. With views beginning to dwindle, Ruby would end up terminating the 8 Passengers channel in January of 2022. However, Ruby was far from done from calling it quits with social media, or quote unquote influencing. It's about this time that Ruby would meet and become affiliated with a woman named Jody Hildebrandt. That's her there on the left. The two would come together in June of 2022, to form the YouTube channel Connections, and that's them. This is a setup that they do. They pretty much just, we'll dive into what the channel does, but it's just basically the two of them talking about mental health and awareness, stuff like that. According to Ruby's husband, this is where things really begin to fall apart for her. It's around this time that Ruby and Kevin end up separating, and according to his attorney, this was largely due to their parental differences. I mean, obviously knowing, now that we know what we know, that isn't entirely difficult to believe. This separation would partly be motivated by Ruby's participation in the YouTube channel, but again, according to Kevin's attorney, it was. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean to interrupt you really quickly, because then here's my disconnect. So you mean to tell me that the husband divorced Ruby when she started working with this lunatic?
Yeah, so part of what this woman does, and again, I might end up repeating myself a little bit because we're going to go down this rabbit hole in a second. Yeah. She's basically running a cult of like this truth and realism. Okay. And part of what these cult leaders do is they isolate, right, to get you to rely on them not only spiritually but financially.
So, one, of course. Now, hold on one sec. So, are you telling me that the abuse that Ruby was doing to her children prior to hooking up with this lunatic, the other lunatic, the husband had no idea of the abuse that was going on while they were married? Is that what I'm trying to understand here?
That's essentially the claim that the husband is making, that he was not aware of at least the abuse that has landed her in jail now. I mean, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole about the husband and his position on the whole thing, but that is his statement, is that he didn't know, and he was being manipulated and misled by this Jody woman who was recommending to her, you need to leave from your husband. It's very consistent with other of her other, what she calls clients. I call them victims of this Jody woman. It's what she does. She hates men. Is really what it comes down to. And she's just a hateful person. She's a bigot, and she has some really disgusting viewpoints on transgenderism. But again, we're gonna
most bigots are also homophobic.
We're gonna go down this rabbit hole for a second, but yeah, she hates men, and she's very much trying to isolate Ruby, and she's pulling her away from not just the husband but her family. Even her sisters would become estranged, and now that she's managed to wheedle her way into this woman's life, is kind of where it all starts to fall apart for Ruby.
Only now. Okay. I'm listening.
Yeah. So again, according to the attorney, was mainly motivated by Jody's involvement in Ruby's life. According to some of her past clients, again, that I refer to as victims, this is pretty consistent with her methodologies, which we'll briefly examine. Although Jody has a master's degree in psychology and is a licensed counselor, she would ultimately lose that license due to some pretty toxic ideologies, actually. Like I said, she has extremely bigoted viewpoints. She has a lot of really horrible things to say about transgenderism, but also extreme feminism. She does not like men. So much so that her clients have similar stories of Jody pushing for them to be separated. So this is this is pretty typical for not just abusive partners, but like I said, like cult leaders. And this very much does feel like a cult. She would do everything she could to basically keep Jody to herself. And we hear from not just Ruby about this isolation, but her sisters, her two grown children, Sherry and Chad, that she was pulling her further and further away, to the point where they end up moving to a house out in Ivins, Utah, and the Frank, her husband, had no idea that they were even out there. Really fucked up.
How did they meet? Random?
I'm not sure.
So they were hooked up, these two people. So Jody was a marriage counselor, licensed marriage counselor that the Mormon church would recommend. So Ruby and her husband went to their church and said, we're having marital problems, and the church was like, here's a list of approved marital counselors that the church says we want to work with. So they started seeing her, and they kind of fell into her trap.
Oh my God.
It's the best way to put that.
Okay, well, at least they were having marital problems. All right, Ruby's husband. I'm looking at you with one eye now, as opposed to both.
Yeah, his attorney would purport that Jody is the the inciting incident for all of this, and she is the grand manipulator, and she was manipulating not only him but Ruby very much as well. And we can actually see signs of that Ruby was somewhat being manipulated, but she's guilty of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's not her. As much as she might be telling her what to do,
Yeah, of
it's
course,
ultimately
of course.
Ruby who's handing out these
Please,
the abuse.
Of course.
So yeah, like Alicia said, it's really no surprise why she ended up taking a liking to Ruby with these marriage counseling sessions with her money and her following. By your own admission, she was making millions, and then Ruby, who was facing all kinds of backlash at the time, was, I'm sure, more than willing to lean into Judy's bullshit of truth and realism in an effort to avoid taking accountability for what was garnishing all this backlash. So let's take a look at some of we're talking about this Jody woman. Let's take a look at some of what her victims had to say about her ideologies and what her program looks like.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's.
We're also hearing from another former client who says this is just the beginning.
He believes a lot more former clients will come forward with their stories of both shame and isolation.
Yeah, Paul Nelson tells us more about this part of the story. Paul?
Well, I am also right outside the Division of Professional Licensing. We'll explain why in just a little bit. However, the former client that we spoke with, his name is Trey Warner, and he says that Jody Hildebrandt was really good at using shaming tactics to pit husband and wives against each other. And he also says that she was very good at convincing people that they were dangerous for other people to be around. The angry comments coming into the Connections Classroom social media pages now are just the beginning, according to former client Trey Warner. He joined a support group at the recommendation of a friend trying to improve his marriage. But after a while, he says he grew more suspicious of what Jody Hildebrandt was teaching.
It started to feel more and more evil. And I finally, in one of the group meetings, I got up and I just said, this is off.
Warner claims Hildebrandt would use shaming tactics to turn husbands and wives against each other, adding that she would convince men that their impure thoughts made them dangerous to their families. He says he saw one case during a group session.
There was a man that had successful business that believed that he was a danger to his wife and his family because he did a double take. As a woman, like if he saw a beautiful woman, he would see and he'd look again. This guy got his own apartment and separated from his family because he was a danger.
In some cases, Warner claims husbands were separated from their families for so long, they were considering suicide.
They felt so sick.
What?
The failure that they just felt like they shouldn't be here anymore.
The self-help videos on the Connections Classroom website have been removed by YouTube. The Division of Professional Licensing has an open case against Hildebrandt, and her license is active. However, Division Director Mark Steinigal says they are allowed to revoke a therapist license if they believe harm is imminent.
Our harm would not just be physical harm, especially in mental health therapy.
Steinigal says the investigation process can sometimes be a lengthy one.
How can you assure the public that when a complaint comes in, it isn't just brushed aside? Yeah. I wish that I could help each member of the public to watch my team.
Shut up.
Complaint.
Now, we did actually reach out to Jody Hildebrandt's attorney. We asked them for any kind of comment about these accusations, and those requests have not been returned yet. Reporting live, Paul Nelson, KUTV 2 News.
You know, there's something that I guess, you know what? People need to sue more. I mean, look, listen.
You're not wrong.
More, because you know what? First of all, most businesses are insured. So don't worry about their pockets, because if people sued more, people will be more they'll be more aware. What do you mean? I'm not going to revoke her license because she might not be a threat physically. It's mental. It's a mental counselor.
She had her license suspended at one point due to she was sharing information. She was not abiding by HIPAA. She was sharing information back with the church.
I got a clip. We're gonna get into that here next.
Yep. Sorry, I'm stepping on the
No,
lead.
you're good. You're good. You're good.
No, people need to sue more. I'm telling you, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Get a lawyer. Ask them to pay your legal fees. If you have a strong case, the lawyer will do it pro bono until he gets paid. People need to sue more because that's unacceptable. What do you mean you didn't take her license away? This is something I'm like, God knows what he's doing. For stuff like that, I would sue in a heartbeat. Doesn't happen to me. Darn it. But
that's why I said that there are less clientele and more victims. People in the comments are just going off on this lady too. Her one and only goal was to destroy men's lives, Lucy says. And yeah, it's it very much feels that way, that this is all targeted towards men.
Yeah, she would one of her biggest things is she would berate mostly men, because this tends to be more of a masculine thing, that if men that were in marriages were viewing pornography and any, even if it was like total like adult, everything's consensual, legal, like, and I'm like, what? You know, also, if you lust for your partner, because lust is a sin. So if you lust after your married partner, you cannot lust. And I'm like, what?
That is next level.
Yeah. Wrap your head around that.
I like Bubba's comment here. It's very on point. Yeah, he's nuttier than a truckload of squirrel turds in a walnut pasture.
Seriously.
I'm always for the squirrel references.
Wow.
So I was working on putting together a compilation of Jody's handiwork. But, you know, as I was doing research for this video, I found this YouTuber who did a far better job of it than I probably ever could have. So I'm gonna borrow a section of this
let's do it.
This YouTuber's video from a creator named Swoop. I don't know if anybody knows her, but it's about 5 minutes. It's not really long, but it's an excellent documentary. You know, if this story fascinates you at all, I highly recommend checking it out. I can put the link in the chat or in the description or whatever. But as I was doing the research for this, I ended up relying on this documentary pretty frequently. So again, I highly recommend checking it out if you guys like this story or are fascinated by it. But yeah, let me bring this up here.
I wonder what happened to Jody for her to be like that. Like, that's her own trauma out of control also, right?
Yeah. She was probably abused by a partner or something. That's what that could be. I mean, who are we to speculate? But that's what it feels like.
Doesn't excuse the craziness, though.
Okay, so like I said, this is about 5 minutes. We're gonna go through her trans comments, what she did to the client or the victim who got her license taken away, and some other allegations. So yeah, let's take a look at this. Happy to stop along the way though if you guys have comments. So.
Welcome to Connections. I'm Jody Hildebrandt. And I'm Ruby Franke.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Would you like to spend hours upon hours listening to Ruby talk about her personal life? Do you want Ruby Franke to teach you about how to heal from stress and anxiety? Like, if you answered yes to any of these questions, do I have a deal for you for the low price of $5,000? Connections, a mental health support organization, will give you access to the one and only 8-passenger mom that for a period of 6 whole weeks, or if you want to spend even more time with her, you can get the 18-week program for $15,000. I wish I was joking, but no, I'm not. That's right. Ruby is now turning over a new leaf as a mental.
Can you imagine paying $15,000 to spend, what was it, 8 weeks with this fucking woman?
But listen,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
she has no licensing. Ruby is not a professional in any way, shape, or form, other than being a mom.
This whole certification here is a certified mental fitness trainer. It's a completely made up. There's no licensing. Here, I'll read this to you because I can see you're trying to read it. Ruby Franke is a certified mental fitness trainer with Connections. Again, Connections is her YouTube channel. That means nothing. She is a wife and mother to 6 wonderful children that she abused. She provides content on Connections social media platforms and podcasts. that focus on empowering parents and children to live in truth. And this is what their whole ideology revolves around is truth. It's a really, you're going to hear some of it right now, but it's like, it's almost like a religion, like truth is God. It's again,
It's
I can't
cult.
explain it as
It's
well.
very cultic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very,
is
it
very
gives
cultish.
culty vibes. It's very Jim Jonesy.
Yeah.
Scary.
Mental health counselor, and shifting her focus over to a little channel called Connections. Ruby Franke, certified mental fitness trainer. Well, okay. What the F is a certified mental fitness trainer? Okay, I had to take to the Googler and ask the Googler machine. So it seems to be not a thing that exists in nature. It's not real. It doesn't exist. But I guess this plays off of the phrase mental fitness, which itself is kind of teetering on the edge also of just not being a thing. So some define mental fitness can be defined as having and maintaining a state of well-being and cultivating awareness of how we think, behave, and feel. So cool. But with Ruby and this thing, this is sketchy at best and dismissive of mental health challenges at worst. So to then tack on certified and trainer, these are like professions.
Yeah.
It's a lie is what it is. Connections is allegedly I'm sorry, I'm laughing. This is my coping mechanism because the petty is just in full abundance with me. We just did the Duggars. It's now Connections again.
Oh yeah, that's her thing, by the way. It's like here Joan just calling out Petty University apparently, but yeah, she does a really good job here. She's got great hair, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there right now.
I was going to comment.
Yeah.
I love the mermaid hair. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Allegedly is a mental health counseling company operating out of American Fork, Utah. They offer classes, therapy sessions, pre-recorded podcasts, all aimed at pulling you out of your distortions. You'll hear that word a lot, and helping you to live in truth. In fact, one of their main bags is the principles of truth.
I want you to be here. We want you to then be thoughtful about what you think is going on. And instead of just reacting to the statements that are made or the questions that are asked, we are interested in when you feel triggered, because many of you have been triggered, and we know that because of your responses that you're giving. And you'll even say, this is my opinion, this is my perspective. And of course, that's what we do. We give those kind of things. And we're inviting you to see something else. We're inviting you to, instead of giving an opinion and a perspective, we're inviting you to learn principles of truth so that you can offer that to another person.
So no perspective then? Karen? Well, first off, I guess Ruby's new BFF doesn't want to hear perspectives or opinions except for her own. That's Jody Hildebrandt. Hildebrandt. Did I say that right? I think I did. Now, unlike Ruby, Jody does have a master's degree in educational psychology and actually is a licensed counselor. Well, correction, I should say was licensed and then wasn't and then is licensed currently. You know, there was just this small little 18-month period where her license was suspended for divulging patient information to people who weren't authorized to receive it. You know, no big. Who needs medical privacy?
That whole thing.
Well, more precisely, she told her client's school, Brigham Young University, a classically Mormon university, that her client / their student was addicted to corn. Yeah, she divulged that. And she also told the elders of...
She means porn, by the way. The first time I watched that, I was like, addicted to corn?
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, that corn is the the social media word for that. Yeah.
Just wanted to throw that out there. If anybody that's watching that might have the same reaction. He's not literally addicted to corn. There's nothing wrong with eating lots of corn. Have as much corn as you want. It's a carb. What's the corn song? I forget now.
Oh my gosh, we loved that song last summer.
Yeah, that's so 2022.
Of his LDS church, and he lost his privileges with the church and was kicked out of BYU. So nothing says open, embracing church practices like throwing someone out when they're having a bit of a challenge. Now, the man who was kicked out and all of that, who wishes to remain anonymous, said that Jody was charging him up to $2,000 a month, and that she spent hardly any time knowing about my life. She didn't want to talk about my personal goals or my progress. She would only threaten me that if I didn't take more sessions and have my wife take more sessions, the alleged addiction would destroy my life. That is a form of gaslighting, abuse. I'm feeling a little elements of coercive control, almost blackmailing, right? That's some ugly, foul shit if that is what was happening. Now, imagine, like, that's some cold ass shit for a counselor to go to your church and your school when you are supposed to keep these things confidential. You're legally supposed to. You have to. But I'm sure that Jody knows best, so why let some HIPAA laws get in the way?
It's like, it's so judgmental, you know what I mean? Like, I know better than you. And she's connected to the Mormon church, you said, right, Alicia? Jody?
Yes. So she is a recommended therapist, or she was. She was at least through that specific church, through that ward, that was who they were recommending.
You can almost just, like, see the scene on play, right? Like, she's at a gathering or whatever, and this kid just happens to come up, and you can just hear her go, "Oh, yeah, him. You know, he was seeing me because he's addicted to porn." Wow. Yeah, did you know that? You know, like, I can feel the judgment about what is just so natural for a teenager. Like, this kid just wanted to watch some porn.
Yeah, and she got him expelled from college for that, because BYU is, you know, a school that will say, okay, well, that's against our code of conduct.
Oh, God.
And so he got
ruined the kid's
kicked
life because he watched porn.
Exactly.
You know, about HIPAA violation, I don't know if every state has different regulations, but here in Jersey, if you break a HIPAA law, you know it's automatic $3 million fine, right?
Good.
So I don't know how she, again, no lawsuits. What is going on? What's happening?
Well, she lost her license, so something came of it. I don't know.
Lose your license, and you have to pay $3 million to HIPAA.
Yeah. I don't know.
Some nasty little HIPAA laws. They're just so, like, such a party pooper, okay? Always killing the vibe, HIPAA.
So let me just say that every single person, man, woman, or child, goes into distortion, and that each one of us are responsible to learn 3 core principles: impeccable honesty, rigorous personal responsibility, and vulnerable humility in order to stay connected. So distortion is the choice to disconnect. It's a choice to disconnect. So all of us want to have relationships, and we all want to be connected in those relationships. However, few of us understand that connection is an outcome of living those 3 principles. And so distortion is its counterpart. And so if you don't understand connection, then you won't understand that you're disconnecting.
Oh my gosh, okay, whatever. I guess we'll all go into
It definitely sounds so cultish, like distortion and truth, and you have to abide by these rules. Like, it almost sounds like AA, which, you know, also gets labeled for being very cult-like. You know what I mean? Didn't Jim Jones have the same thing too? Like, he had a list of rules that you had to follow. I forget.
Yeah, Jim Jones. Yeah, very Flavor Aid-ish.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I guess I'm living under a rock.
But it's a choice. Why does this sound like such simple advice that's also undefined and equally as confusing? Like, this is just the type of, like, smell your own farts while chastising others for smelling farts that Ruby Franke can really connect with. And
yeah, it's like horoscopes or fortune. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Alicia.
No. What?
She loves the astrology, but yeah, I mean,
I do.
It's like
I do.
It's like a fortune cookie, right? Like, they make it just big enough to apply to anybody. You know what I mean? It's like that. You know, it's like she's saying nothing all while saying something.
These 2 jackals are now tag teaming the world with their holier than thou propaganda. Whew, just have several seats, okay? Again, that cement. I'm bringing out that cement. You might need to sit down for a little while. Think about your actions.
My own perceptions, my own feelings, and my own behaviors. And so safety, when I hear that word, I'm always looking for the most. So I have to do something in order for you to feel safe. Boom, control. There's no truth in me doing something in order for you to feel safe.
There's no truth.
Safety is about you.
No truth.
Now, you may agree with, it's fine to be transgendered, as they call it. That's just a made-up word. Somebody made it up.
You know what else is something that somebody just made up? Certified mental fitness trainer. I'm sorry. I had to point that out. Okay, if you want to talk about living in distortion, treat that distorted, because that doesn't exist. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's continue.
Transgendered, as they call it. That's just a made-up word. Somebody made it up. And there still isn't any truth to it. It doesn't matter how you angle it, how you talk about it, how many people support it. There's no truth in I was born in a wrong body. Even though someone says, but I feel it. I feel it. Doesn't matter if you feel it. I feel all sorts of things on a daily basis. And most of it's like completely dramatic and wrong.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Like what? Flatulence? Like you're basically fucking admitting that I feel stuff all the time that like your fucking feelings and opinions are worthless. Like right there. You know what I mean? You just fucking said it to yourself. Oh, I hate this lady so fucking much. It's like, it's so hateful. Like, what did they do to you, lady? Fuck off.
Yeah. Seriously.
But it's not just their bigoted transphobic views that are the truth. No, if you listen to these two clowns, basically everything you ever thought was a distortion, y'all watching me right now, this isn't real. This is a distortion, okay?
So anger in and of itself is simply a very strong feeling of opposition. And so opposition is simply a disagreeing of, it's a disapproval of. And so, yeah, I could use my anger to say I strongly disapprove of attacking.
Is being violated. And that is what then triggers me to perceive in this direction of truth being violated. That's not okay. And because I am a lover of truth, I then feel this strong emotion to oppose the distortion of principles.
Holy crap, y'all. I thought 8 passengers was bad. These hoes out here in these streets just full on chuffing their own farts out here. But like, what are we really doing here? This woman plays God. She sets her clients up to depend on only her so she can keep collecting your money. She reminds me of the abuser in an abusive relationship. She isolates her clients by setting up unrealistic expectations so they believe all of their friends and family are toxic, leaving them to only depend on her and her support. That is such an astute review that this person left, and it's right on target. You know, so I see the old manipulate them into needing your paid for services forever routine, right? I wouldn't trust this company. They use brainwashing tactics to manipulate you. They intentionally make you feel bad about yourself and use slander. Please stay away from this company at all costs. They are a scam. Scam you.
Wow.
Yeah, so there you go. Pretty fascinating stuff, though. This lady is not a good person. She's disgusting, to say the least.
Wow.
So there we have it. You know, Ruby and Jody, they are this connections thing. And this is kind of where we're at when all of this abuse allegations start to unfold. The content they made together had a small fraction of the audience that 8 Passengers did in its prime. Miss Franke herself once claimed that her ventures would help her make millions, and she left that lucrative world, she said, to save her children. Recent posts on an Instagram account the two share called Moms of Truth, offering parenting guidance, urging followers to avoid coping strategies and to distract from, quote, the pain and discomfort of reality and truth. It's not really clear what this reality or truth looks like, but the coping strategies they list include social media, exercise, and socializing. So, like, basically, in short, when reality gets too hard, just pour yourself into social media. It's so fucking backwards. And it's not hard to see the mindset that these two had going on in this new venture. You know, when you're telling your fathers that good parenting advice involves telling your children to focus on social media when reality gets too hard, you know, they're completely disconnected from their own fucking reality. Like, the irony is so palpable knowing what we know now. And again, it almost like it offers a slight glimmer, like a slight explanation as to what Ruby's mindset was like in the months leading up to her arrest, which we're going to dive into now. So before we get into the arrest and the whole downfall, any thoughts as we pour into this from either of you guys?
My main thing is I am still amazed at the level of people who really looked up to them for advice and escape. It
Like actually
really
thought they were.
Yep. They couldn't see past it. Like it really it makes me so sad that people are so there's a level of unhappiness to the point where they cannot see that they're emotionally vulnerable, right? And it's how do we solve that? How do we solve that?
Yeah, I mean, they are influencers for a reason.
Legitimate
you know what I mean?
therapy. That's
Yeah.
my answer. Legitimate therapy.
Yeah,
a lot of
legitimate
it.
therapy.
I'm a
There's
big
a
proponent
facet
of
to this
legitimate
too that
therapy.
she's a good-looking person, and I think a lot of people probably looked up to her, Ruby, and so she had influence, and it didn't really
There's a
matter
lot.
what she said to certain people are just susceptible to these social media creators. They
Yeah,
fall into the trap.
as a mom, I could absolutely see why people would be like, she has her stuff together. Her kids listen to her. They're not all over the place. Look at her. She
Good
has a
point,
shower.
Alicia.
She has her makeup done. Her house is clean. Like, she obviously knows what the heck is going on. What does she know that I'm not? Like,
That
what
I'm
am I
not
doing? And
doing.
so people look at her like, especially stay-at-home moms that feel very isolated and
Right.
sad. I mean,
And overwhelmed.
that's who she was
Targeting.
sinking in. Yeah. Oh,
Targeting, yeah.
absolutely. Those
There are a lot
mamas
of people
were.
out there like that.
Alicia, I think your statement is what truth is. I think that's what it is.
Nice.
That makes the most sense. That of all that makes the most sense. Yeah, you're right. Especially because
see what's,
as being new parents, you kind of want to have a little bit of your old life back, but you really can't because you can't let your little one starve. So you look at this woman who's like, I got my life back, and my kids listen to me, and
who actually
my house is clean.
is making her kids starve.
Right.
Ironically.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, oh, what is she doing that I'm not doing? You're
And she
right,
says
Alicia.
it's so easy. You just need to do this.
You're
And it's
saying-
like,
Yeah.
that
Alicia.
doesn't.
Yeah, I think
not.
your reasoning is the one. It's the one that makes the most sense.
Let's
Wow.
take a look at some of the comments here. Jonesy's saying it sounds like Scientology, and yeah, that's another like cultish.
Yeah.
It's very Scientology-ish. Scientology. She considered watching corn like a couple times a year an addiction. Yeah, facts.
This is insane.
Anger is a strong
You're an
feeling like
addiction?
hunger.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like 15K to get treated like dog poop.
Yeah, pretty much.
If I roll my eyes any harder, I'll be able to see back in time. Feel bad for our youngins.
Yeah.
My heart breaks for him. Yeah, she sounds like a darn whack.
The
Quack,
thing
a
that,
darn quack.
if you guys remember in the affidavit, when you read the affidavit, the child that escaped, all he wanted was just water and some food.
Yeah,
Water and
yeah.
some
We're gonna get into that now.
food.
Right.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. Okay. Fine.
Fine.
Oh wait, but before we do that though, we have to do this real quick.
Remove Booba's comment.
For me,
Booba.
I really like corn.
What do you like about corn?
It's corn. A
Big
humping
up.
it has to juice in it. I got the most beautiful thing. It's corn. I can tell you all about it. I mean, look at this thing. When I find it, it's amazing thing. What a bad thing about
How is he not the most adorable little thing ever?
He is. We need to check in with Corn Boy.
And
You guys couldn't
I
see
never
it, but I
looked
was
at corn
dancing
online the same way.
I was
Even
shaking my
mic
little
looks
squirrel
suspicious.
tail. Yeah, really. A big lump of knobs has a very different connotation.
It's like, oh my god, my mind has been tainted. All I can see is corn.
Yeah.
Yay, dirty
Alistair.
mind. Dirty
Yeah,
mind.
we have fun on this show.
Dirty minds are important.
All right.
Control 12, 11 all, 17 all back. 17.
Yeah, by this 12-year-old male showed up with tape around his legs Thursday asking for help, said he was afraid asking for police.
Copy 17.
Deborah, he gave the name of Russell Franke, unknown date of birth, or he did give us a date of birth, but I'm not showing any Russells in Spillman. I'll keep looking into that. The RP said he left through the porch of the neighbor's house. 10-4 break 12x11 and 17 to 1014. The male does have duct tape around each ankle. He's not telling the RP why. And said that there's sores around his wrists and ankles. He's becoming, or correction, the RP is becoming emotional regarding the child's health. I'm going to go ahead and have medical stage on this one. 12x11, 12x14, or 17, sorry. The RP said that he left from a neighbor's Jody Hildebrandt in Ivan's 54-year-old female. Not sure if they're related. When asking the RP's parents info, he said his mom is Ruby Franke, unknown where she lives.
Copy.
12x11, 12x17. I do have a Ruby Franke spelling with an E on the end of Franke address out of Springville. Only involvement was a traffic offense a couple of days ago.
Copy.
Wow.
Saying that there's two of his sisters are back at the home as well. 12x17. It looks like if you're at the looking out the front, go left. It's going to be your.
Copy that. Thank you.
RP and the Juve are going to be sitting out on the front porch. No visible weapons. The male is currently wearing a long sleeve with shorts. And medical's 23 as well.
10-4 AT, 3 minutes. Medical's in front of me. Control first 28. You can assign me that custodial. I'll be 21.
28, thank you.
So as of right now, just the two women have been arrested, and they are being held right now with no bail. Here are the court records. These are the only records that have been filed so far that will try to convince a judge that there's enough evidence, at least for right now, to bring formal charges. YouTuber Ruby Franke and her business partner Jody Hildebrandt have been arrested for child abuse. Prosecutors now have a few days to file criminal charges.
A judge would be assigned, and it sort of starts the process.
Criminal defense attorney Sky Lazaro says being in the public eye can be a challenge building a defense.
It certainly makes cases far more difficult when people have put content out or posted on social media things that could be harmful to your defense.
If this case were to ever see a trial, getting child victims to testify against their parent can also be tricky. Lazaro says in many cases, a deal is made prior to getting to that point.
The state doesn't want to put the kids on to have to talk about it again. Nobody wants to cross-examine them ever.
According to court documents, Franke's 12-year-old son climbed out of a window of Hildebrandt's home and went to a neighbor's house with duct tape on his wrists and ankles, wounds, and was severely malnourished. Those documents also cite a YouTube video posted to Hildebrandt's channel just 2 days before the women's arrests.
My hope for the children is that they will be able to be around positive adults who believe them.
Police say Franke's children are in child services custody tonight. Deandra Brown is a survivor of child abuse and works with Prevent Child Abuse Utah, helping other survivors, and says there is a connection between child abuse and long-term mental health struggles.
Now, of course, it was pulled from YouTube with no explanation, but there were rumors and allegations of child abuse dating back to 2020.
So around 10:50 hours that there was a dispatched incident for officers to respond to the area of Kayenta inside Ivan's city boundaries. And when we arrived, we had learned that there was a juvenile that was knocking on doors asking for food and water, requesting help from citizens. So that.
Yeah, just not great stuff to hear. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
You know, there's about the kid, the 12-year-old kid was asking for help. You know, he just wanted some water and maybe some food. So they were, forget the starvation, they were just not giving them water at all. But the kid was so afraid. Like in their mind, they were so trained for that. For them, it's normal that in their mind, like it was like, no, I mean, I love my mom and dad. Like it's, I just want some water. Wow.
Yeah, that's it was their normal, like you said. They this was their whole life, and I think there is a certain amount of escalation that took place because we see the starvation thing being a factor in the early years that kind of led up to the YouTube channel going away. But they certainly didn't look malnourished. Like you can see the kids in the videos, and they're thin, but they're not
Yes.
that thin. You know what I mean?
So for them to be like severely malnourished, they must have looked gaunt.
Yeah,
They
it
must
takes a
have looked-
long
it
time.
takes like for you to put pen to paper, malnourished. That means it's obvious you're malnourished.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the sores and stuff on there, like they were being beaten, and they were like, what's
Also-
that deal with the duct tape? They were tied up in the basement. It's like they literally became like props, like playthings. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm gonna take you out to make our YouTube comment. Dance, puppet, dance, and then okay, go back down to the basement. Time to tape it back up to the wall. It's just, it's horrifying to think what these kids actually went through. I hate it.
Do you know how many times Child Services was called on Ruby?
How many times?
Yeah, I think 12, right?
19.
Wow.
But
19 times, and never once did they go in and remove these kids. And people called and made complaints. The neighbors called and said the kids are, home alone. They're really young. They shouldn't be home alone. I mean, she was.
But
two of their oldest kids were out of the house, and the oldest one, Chad, who we saw earlier, went to the wilderness retreat. He was living with his father, but the oldest daughter, Sherry, she was in college, and she was very much ringing the bells that something was going on. That something needed to change here.
Yes.
So Child Services didn't do squat?
No.
19 times. Okay, well, I lost
Correct.
it there.
And the question is because they were living in a very well-to-do neighborhood with a very well-to-do house, and they are. He was a teacher at the university. She was very famous, and there are big parts of the church that everybody was a part of. They're the right skin color. So
they had power in the community too. They had
not the white ones, not the white ones. No.
Exactly, not the rich white folk. They could never do anything wrong.
Let me tell you something.
Like, really? Have you never seen a Disney movie?
Seriously.
All the moms are evil and they're all white.
That's so true.
Listen.
The only mom of color is Tatiana, and she's the good one. She's like there, like supporting her kids, and the whole thing she gives her. Just saying.
You just murdered me. How dare you? Let's talk about Alicia killing Alistair, because this is unbelievable. This is really awesome. Look, Alicia, listen. I don't believe the father had no clue. I'm sorry.
No, he did.
He's an accomplice.
He's playing absent father. He was at work and he was letting it whatever happened. Well, that's your mom. She's gonna make the decisions. Like he was totally checked out as a dad. 100%. I think so. I think he was just letting that happen. Like, fine, you want the kids, you want to do it, you do it. Fine, whatever. I'm over this. There's
footage of him on the YouTube channel, even kind of combating everybody talking about the abuse.
And he was part of the pictures. I mean, they lived together for a while. For your kid to be malnourished, won't you be like, "Hey, Dad, can I get some water?"
Talking about with the escalation, right? Like once the YouTube channel gets terminated, and she ends up making this new channel with Jody. Once Jody becomes involved in like a day-to-day, and she once Ruby joins this lady's cult about truth, and that they start doing this Connections YouTube channel, Jody made her separate from Kevin is his name.
Kevin?
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. Let me into why I don't care, because there is no excuse. Even if you were absent, there's no excuse.
100%.
Your
This-
children
this
are with your ex-wife that you don't get along with, and you have no idea what's going on. What? Do you go to bed at night and
Yeah.
sleep nice and cuddly and not?
What
be like,
kind of dad are you if for months
dad
your
are
kids
you?
are literally malnourished and you're not
Yes.
doing anything about it? Like, take your kids
They
away from
were
your wife if they look
separated
like that.
for 13 months, and he really had not
Yeah.
seen them much in that 13
Exactly.
months.
Or
And
spoken
I'm
to
like,
them?
13 months you haven't seen them really talk to your kids?
Yeah.
Like,
How are
a
you?
birthday has passed.
Thank
Big
you.
holidays have passed. Like,
Thanksgiving,
what?
Christmas,
Where are you?
Halloween,
Yeah.
Parent-teacher association. He's a teacher, right? And then wait, hold on.
And to this day, right now, he has taken possession of their big fancy house,
Oh.
but he does not have the kids. The kids
Why-
have not been returned to him. They are still investigating him because they
Yeah,
do
I was
not
gonna
think
say
he
they're
is.
probably investigating it.
They
No,
do
I
not
would
think
not
he's
be,
100% innocent in this.
No,
So
he's guilty. Guilty by association. Oh,
It's not
well,
a question.
innocent
It's not a
lives
question
matter.
of if he's complicit. It's to what level, right? Because we know
What level?
he was there
Exactly.
when she started the starvation stuff. Like, he's on video. That's confirmed that he was there for some of this stuff, like the
Yeah.
stuff with Chad
Oh,
being
right.
sent to the camp or whatever. He was there every step of the way for that, and
right.
was part of the decision making process. Like, as much as happy wife, happy life, you can lean
That's
back
right.
on that a little bit.
And he's a
He
minor.
was there.
Yeah, you have to sign stuff. Oh my God, that's it. Look at that. Look at that, Kevin. Look at you, Kevin. Gotcha. And then, I can't even, Olympia can't even have a pimple without me noticing. It's like, what is that? Like, it's right, Alicia. You have kids. Nothing is on our radar. What is that? A blemish?
no, like my
Oh,
husband, when he comes home, he notices if there's a new bump on one of the kids. Like he's
What is
he
that?
he's like, what's happened? What's going on? You know.
What is that?
So
All right.
I don't get it.
Wait, hold on.
So,
Before
yeah.
you continue, Beefy, one last thing. Hey, Alicia, don't they look like real moms now?
Oh yeah, especially the one on the bottom there with
Yeah.
that nice
Yeah.
jowl.
Finally, they look normal.
Yeah. Well, your hair isn't perfectly straightened and you don't have all the lashes.
Yeah.
Look, today I went to the gym today, and I have forgotten. I've forgotten that I wore my PZ shirt and the same outfit I wore to drop Olympia off. But I've been running, and the person at gym was like, "What are you wearing?" And I go, "Oh, right." It was stained with food, and it was pretty much what I slept in. I had completely forgotten to change. Anyway.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah.
forget like basic stuff. You're like, wait, when's the last time I what? Wow.
Anyway, continue, Beef.
Okay. So on August 30th, 2023, the two women were arrested after somehow managed to escape their youngest son from their Ivan, Utah-based home. Ruby's youngest son would escape from being duct taped in the basement, as you just heard, and would make his way to his neighbor's house looking emaciated, had duct tape around his wrists and ankles, asking for food and water. The police were obviously called, and when they made their way to Ruby's home, the two other daughters were found in similar conditions in the basement. Days later, they were charged with 6 counts of child abuse. Quote, "Justice is being served," from her eldest daughter, Sherry, wrote on Instagram. And this is her, claiming she had been trying to raise concerns about her estranged family with police and child protection services for years. Mrs. Franke's arrest, quote, "needed to happen," her sisters wrote in a joint statement saying they had previously kept quiet for the sake of the children involved. Neither Miss Franke nor Miss Hildebrandt has responded to the BBC's request for comment. However, the law firm representing Miss Franke told the BBC that they would not be making a statement. This is all direct from the BBC's website. Kevin Franke's lawyer has distanced himself from the abuse allegations, saying he had no role in them. Quote, "He is a good person," Randy Kester told Good Morning America, claiming that the Frankes have been living in separate homes for the past 13 months, like you said, Alicia. Mrs. Franke's children are now safe, according to her sisters and estranged daughter, who said they have a long road ahead to recovery. It's very bizarre. The closest account we have to someone affiliating with all this really is the daughter and the husband, right? Like, they were actually part of this family, and they're the only ones we've heard of in the aftermath. They saw everything uncensored and firsthand.
Right.
And, according to the husband, this only started when he was out of the picture. But the daughter is basically saying something opposite, that this had been going on the whole time.
Well,
go ahead.
I think it's very interesting that, and it's very telling of what the husband's interests are, because his first reaction was to immediately go get a lawyer and to put out some public statement about how he's just not a part of this. He's just needing to save his name. His lawyer is now going on all these talk shows talking about him and like trying to defend him. And I'm like, why aren't you just like focusing on helping your kids?
Yeah, or get your kids back.
Like,
Or-
let's where is your focus at right now? Is your focus on your on what strangers think of you, or is it the well-being of your children? Because even if you look at the eldest daughter here, she's over here saying, yes, this happened. We need to help these kids. We need to get them in, to some, therapies and whatnot. She's acting more like a parent than Dad is. Dad's more worried about his own skin. So it's very telling of what his motives are, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Also, I just realized emaciated, it's such a specific adjective. It's such a specific adjective. And the 12-year-old, and it doesn't take a lot to have a toddler, anybody young, to go hungry and to die of hunger and to look emaciated, because their bodies are growing, so they're consuming calories like crazy. It probably wouldn't take that many days for the young guy to look emaciated. At least that's 1 week without food. Oh my God. A week without food.
I think it takes longer than you think to look emaciated, like to the point where your bones are showing. These kids were being starved for long periods of time.
I just can't imagine going more than a meal
calories
without feeding my kids.
My God, guys, this is getting very uncomfortable. Like my heart is about to explode out of my chest.
It gets worse.
There's always
this rabbit hole is going deeper.
Yeah, that's why.
Because Ruby's Ruby's response to all this is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have that. What was her statement?
So her statement is like, So Ruby is now claiming that the little boy that escaped is a toucher. He's a molester, and he's been molesting his siblings, and that he needs to be away from everybody. And so now the courts are forced to remove him.
I deliberately left that out because it's unfounded and it's still under investigation.
It's absolutely,
I didn't want to.
It's absolutely unfounded. It's absolutely ridiculous. Fake news, 100%.
I didn't want to put misinformation out there because it's just
and that's why I'm surrounding it with all its like alerts of like it's absolutely fake. Yeah, and that's what she is claiming. The rest of the world is like, no, that's not what this is. And no one else, there's zero evidence of any of that being true.
It's turning into a giant finger pointing game. The husband.
Yeah, and that's what she's throwing. She's throwing that kid down that went and asked for water.
Yeah.
And she's punishing him because now the courts are forced to remove that kid from being with any of their siblings, even in a foster home. Now they are forced to be in a foster home with no other children. So she's forcing that isolation.
We saw the
even from the jail.
Even in that clip with Chad, right? We saw how spiteful she can get when he's bringing up sleeping on a bing bag. She's giving them look like, oh, like you said, Alistair, like, oh, you're going to get it later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're going to get it.
I guess they're going to have to get another week without a bed. You know what I mean? Like, we can see it right there in full display of how spiteful this woman is. We say it on this channel all the time, like, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. There is a certain layer of truth to that with these cases.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
as a female, I will agree to that.
Burn me once.
You don't mess with a mama bear. Like step in front of a mama bear's cubs. It will not work out for you.
Guys, I think she's a psycho.
Yeah, oh, for sure, for sure. Jonesy has it said right here, you know, a true monster.
Oh, right, a
Well
true
said, well
monster.
said.
Yeah.
For sure. Yep. That's like the scariest monster of all, right? The one who puts on the makeup and is able to worm herself into the homes of
Right.
millions, you know, and influence them to make bad
Yeah, the
decisions.
monster you
know?
don't see. The
Oh my
monster you
God.
trust.
I didn't even yeah, you're right. With all these viewers, oh my God, the
Yeah.
damage. Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
The ripples she has made in
The
other people's
ripples.
families.
Yeah, the
it's
ripples that she
Blah.
she destroyed everybody.
So yeah, we're
Definitely.
basically wrapping up here. But the youngest daughter here, she would say on a podcast, quote, "Me and my family are so glad justice is being served. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, and so glad they finally decided to step up." So, you know, as much as the husband and Ruby would like to just pin all this on Jody, you know, that she came in and just turned their lives upside down, Ruby was very much complicit in all this, and ultimately it was her family, you know, her kids. She was the one physically and emotionally handing out this abuse. Like, the husband wasn't there, so, you know, she could say whatever she wants. She can point the finger at the kid or Jody, and the husband can say, "Oh, it was all them." You know, you could tell somebody to fire a gun, and you might not be. You'll certainly be culpable after the fact, but ultimately, the one pulling the trigger, they're the ones who are the murderer. So, you know, not the one who told him to do it. So I believe the daughter. I believe the daughter. I don't believe the husband as much. I think he, like you guys are saying, he's
No.
backpedaling because he's nervous he's going to get charged too. But, you know, again, in these cases after the fact, you always look to the people that were involved the most. And the daughter, she was there front and center for all of it. So I believe her in that this was going on for a long, and she was trying to get CPS and police involved. So this was going on for years. You know, I really don't think that this is anything new. As much as it might have escalated a little bit in the last months because she was getting brainwashed by this Jody woman, again, ultimately, she's the one who's handing out the abuse. So as much as they are both being charged, it's Ruby. You know, it's her that she's.
But the
she's
other
doing
one, Jody needs to be locked in a dungeon as well. Yeah. Because she's also super dangerous. What is this? This whole like divorce and people.
Yeah, her
always-
license needs to be stripped from her at the very least. She does not need to be in a place where she
I
can
think
have
they
any
should
kind of
both get put
authority
away in
over.
jail for life. Like, I hope they never get out.
They need to. Please, justice system, do a good job. Please, please.
But it's going to be interesting to see the trial, if there is one, to hear all the other details that are going to come out. Because when a good investigator comes through and starts pouring through the YouTube channel alone, there's probably good. Because as much as like a picture has 1,000 words, a video has millions of words to say. There's going to be stuff laying out. Like, they're going to pour through. As much as you can delete a YouTube channel, but there's ways to get that shit
Oh
back.
no,
They will.
yeah, no, YouTube stores it. It has to store it legally.
Oh yeah.
The internet
And
is forever.
Yeah,
the police are going to get their hands on those police videos and you know
YouTube
search the house. There's going to be all kinds of evidence of abuse, emotional, and especially the kids. The stories they're going to tell. Like, this is going to get.
They're going to testify because you know what? The fact that the mother even brought her son and said he's a potential child molester, he has to. They're going to.
Yeah, they have a duty to that kid now to go up there. They have it for their siblings.
Yep.
And this one right here, the daughter here, she saw all of it, and she hates this woman, so she is going to go down swinging. If they're smart, take the plea deal because the trial will absolutely destroy these women. But I don't think they will. Yeah, she's a narcissist. She's going to want her day in court. She's going to want the attention. She's going to want the spotlight. She's going to want to go up in the stand and say, "Oh, it was all Jody." I guarantee you, those two
And
women are going to point the fingers
they
at each
have
other.
the financial backing to hire lawyers and specialists that will agree with them.
Right.
The real tragedy in all this is
it won't be a public defender. This will be a retained lawyer. We're gonna have to see.
The real tragedy in all of this is all the money that was made from these kids on the backs of these children. The money was raised from these kids. You know, she's raising them from some of these kids from birth. From birth, they were raised in front of a camera. You know, she's pushing them in front of this camera to make all this money. She's not doing it herself. And she ends up keeping all that money, even though it's the kids that were really earning it for her, you know, and she's going to spend all of it on her defense. and it's just
sad. Alicia, at the beginning you mentioned about the money, protection for the kids, for the money and stuff. I totally thought that there is something that protects, like, let's say because the kid is still, even though the kid is a minor, it's still a human being, an entity, right? Like it's
but there is a law where you can use your kids in your own small business, and so there is a lot of
and not pay them.
Yes, correct.
What happened to child labor laws? What?
Yeah, really, I've never heard that. That's fucked up.
There's definitely a weasel around when you own the business, when it's a family-owned business. Yeah, and they don't have to pay you, and that is legal. And it's really, really, really sad. Actually, I've been reading the new Duggar book that just came out with Jill Duggar, and if you've ever listened to anything that's on the Duggar family, and they've been really big in social media. They were on the
Swoop was
TLC
mentioning
channel.
something how she just covered it. It's similar, right?
Very much so, and very different in the same regard. So it's a very huge, deep case.
They were a social media family, like Daddy of Five?
They were on TLC, so they were reality TV, and 19 kids and counting, and they were very Christian.
Okay. Yep.
The dad kept every penny and did not have to pay their kids anything from that show. There's nothing. And reality TV, all that, it's all contracted, and TLC likes to only pay one person. So the family will make an LLC, and they'll just pay that LLC, and what you do upon that is up to you, and it's very, very, very difficult for children to try to get any monies from any of this.
Let me tell you, that speaks volume onto the character of the parents, all of them, because what's your goal as a parent? To protect your kids in every aspect. Right, like that's the first thing you do, is secure your kids' future. The fact that you're taking that money and eating it and twirling with it is a problem.
I mean, you saw in that video where she's like, everything in this house that comes in this house is mine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Is it? Because it was made off the back of your 8-year-old selling Pampers.
Okay.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Well, even just the act of starving your kids in the first place flies directly in the face of your instincts as a parent to feed and nurture your children.
Oh man, I can't. No,
she has to be a victim herself of something. You know what I mean? Because it's like the old saying goes, like you learn what you live. So she had to
I have no
lived
idea what her upbringing is, but it'll be very interesting to find out as this case unravels.
It's probably similar to what she did to her kids. She probably food was held from her by her parents. And so, like I said, you learn what you live. That was her life probably. And that's the abused abuse.
Yeah, but that's true. That's very true. But you would think, oh, I know what it feels like to be hungry and go to bed, man. Let me not do that to my kids. Look, listen, friends, you can rationalize if you do it to a friend or maybe a lover. Your children, you go to bed, you tuck yourself in at night, you snore, you have good dreams, knowing your kids are hungry, man.
I don't know. It's a certain level of monster. I can't understand.
Yesterday,
exactly.
Olympia was crying, and I literally found out Chris didn't give her the bottle. I was like, how dare you? The next morning, I was like, you didn't give her the bottle? He's like, no, she wasn't asking for it. But I was like, what do you mean you give her the bottle? What do you mean when you give her the bottle? I was like, my daughter went to bed hungry. Like, I don't understand. I don't compute this wiring of the brain that makes you think, it's okay to have your kid go to bed hungry when you have the means. If you don't have the means, it's a different story. But if you have the means,
she had more than the means. She's making millions of dollars off these kids' backs, and these kids won't see a dime of it, and they're left to fend for themselves out in this world now, and they don't have the tools. I mean, she pulled them out of school, so she was homeschooling them, quote unquote. I mean,
she wasn't teaching them shit.
No, she was forcing them to create content, and these kids are not well equipped to go out into the world and be adults. It breaks my heart for them.
I mean, like we heard, they had no friends. You know what I mean? Their whole
Yeah.
lives have been changed. by this whole thing. Oh yeah, let's take a look at some of the comments here.
Hi, Nefertiti. Hi. Look, I got distracted. Hi, Neff.
So Lucy says Jody's daughter hasn't spoken to her in years. Says if she ever were to talk to her again, she would go right back to a place where she was manipulated by her. Her evil is that strong.
Yeah. You know what, Lucy? You make a very good point. I think the daughter is because she was away in college, and that's why she was able to breathe a little bit and get the clouds out of her face. You know what I mean? You know,
I'm live on these two. Ain't gonna cover it all. We got pretty close. We're wrapping up here.
Yeah. Yes, I just want to ask you guys a question. Everyone has different ways of parenting. Do you think, in defense of Child Protective Services, do you think that it's important for Child Protective Services to not be too reactive? Otherwise, we'll just end up with a world with too many foster kids. It's like you yell at your kid, Child Protective Services. You spank your kid, Child Protective. Yeah, you know what I mean? Is it in their defense? Should they be less trigger hungry? I mean, 19 times is no excuse, but I'm just saying in general.
I think it depends on what the claim is. I think we need to have a same standard of all kids deserve to go to bed with full tummies in a bed, you know, with a roof over their head and warm.
I think one way or another, they need to do a better job than what's being done now. Because you hear all these stories about like where were Child Protective Services? Like I hear that question being asked all the time. So whether reporting needs to change, or how they investigate this stuff needs to change, or the reaction once people do get investigated, something needs to happen here. And you know, maybe it means more funding or whatever. I don't know, but something.
I hope the trial is going to force the change, because sometimes trial and cases is what you need to promote a change in our systems, right? I remember, you know, I'm African immigrant, and you know, anybody who's African immigrant, you know, we get spanked. Please, that's just how we were raised. But come down and eat. I got spanked in the booty, yelled at.
Yeah, I'm from New Mexico. We have la chancla. We get whipped with la chancla. Like,
but you still get you still come down and eat. And at the end of the night, my mom would still give me a hug and kiss and say, "I love you, but don't do it again." You know what I mean? Like it wasn't not torture like that. You know what I mean? Like that's why I'm like, even when you're disciplining your kids from a different culture, you still feed them.
John Bubba says, get them kids in therapy and all you can eat buffets. Yeah, really. Nice comfy beds too.
And heat and comfort.
I didn't know this. So no water makes you look thinner.
And people to say, hello, hi, how are you? You know, interaction with humans, because how are they going to trust? You know, there's going to be trust issues there.
Those kids are going to grow up with dealing with eating disorders and
all kinds of stuff.
I can just see it, and it just breaks my heart.
Right, eating disorders.
The hurdles they're going to have to deal with.
Think about that, eating disorder. Yeah, you're right. Probably eating disorder. You're right. I mean, look at that teenage boy.
Or disordered eating, even if it's not a full-blown eating disorder, they're going to have disordered eating issues.
Even Chad said his only option now is to become the best athlete possible. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So in his mind, he's like, "Well, I'm not worthy. So I'm only good at sports. So that's my only option." Oh my Lord. Well,
Lucy says, "Hopefully that lie of hers is proven to be crap soon, and that the child can be with his siblings soon." Yeah. Really. Talking about the kid being an abuser himself, and I don't think there's any truth to that.
Bull honky.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of the times when you guys get tortured together, your siblings are what you rely on. He needs his siblings. He needs his sisters and brothers.
You think her upbringing was harsh punishment? Yeah, okay, people are agreeing.
It wouldn't
break
surprise
the cycle.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucy's right. Yeah. You can break the cycle.
It can go like you said, it can go one of two ways. It can be the abused abuse, and this happened to me, so I'm going to do it to others, or it can be I'm going to make up for the mishappenings in my life, and I'm going to, insert myself into every abuse person I could find, and relive it at that moment that happened to me every time every moment I can. So one of two ways. I think unfortunately that's what happened here is the bad rather than trying to make up for the mishappenings in her own life. She kind of took out her abuse on her kids.
Yeah, she was like, well, I was fine, so you should be fine. And that's just not a good mentality to have. Instead of we know better, so do better.
Yeah.
But when your child cries, though, doesn't that just mommy, how? I'm hungry. Doesn't that just trigger? This is what I don't understand. You can have all the trauma in the world. A little tear from your child, don't you just perk up and be like, what's the matter? What's the matter?
It breaks my soul. Like it reaches to a degree that I cannot describe.
I can't describe either. Like, oh, what happened? What happened? Like I'm not saying you should cuddle them to death, but I'm just saying, like if you're the reason.
That cry though. When your baby cries out or when your child cries out, as a parent, that sound.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, mommy, I'm hungry. Shut up. I can't. It does not compute.
Like I said, it flies directly in the face of what your instincts are as a parent. It's to feed and nurture your children. And she wasn't doing either of those things. She's taking away their bed and their food. It's like quite literally the exact opposite things you should be doing as a parent. Nefertiti says that's exactly what happened to my daughter in regards to her father. He was abused, and instead of learning from it, not wanting to be that way, he became the absolute worst abuser. It's messed up.
Oh my God.
Not just kids, but pets as well. Yeah,
pets as well. What? I don't understand people who hurt animals and children.
It's a special kind of evil.
Like,
There's a special place in hell for people that hit dogs and hit kids and abuse children. There's a special corner in hell where they're shoving pineapples up people's bums. What's that movie? Little Nicky.
Little Nicky. I'm there.
Wrong way. Wrong way.
Do they put off on the pineapple spiky end?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And they make sure to pick a big one.
Are you serious? Did I?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's a whole movie. Yeah.
Wow! I never saw the movie, so I just made it up. Wow, look at that.
Yeah. Little.
You're right on it.
Guessing.
Hitler in a maid's outfit.
Not safe for kid movie. Not good. But great for after the little one goes to bed. It's a hilarious one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's really funny.
Wow, what a crazy case though. It took up the whole show just getting through all this.
Yeah. Oh, what? We're in for 2 hours.
There you have it, though.
Let's go to final thought.
Ruby Franke. Hang on.
The final thought.
Do you? I gotta say, after hearing the details of that case, that song has a much different context.
Yes.
know how you do it to me, or
I know.
Ruby.
Yeah. The final thought.
All right. Yeah. What do you think for our final thought this week here, Alistair?
Alicia, you go first.
Pull this up for you.
The final thought.
Wait, before you say it, let me just reenact to you what my brain did when I just heard today's final thought. Oh, I don't have a hat. So picture me with a hat and like a coat. Wait. The final thought. What? I'm sorry. Like that in my mind, it was like the Sherlock Holmes detective talking to me.
Oh, yeah, you don't have your jacket this week. Where's your jacket?
Oh, wait, I forgot.
Next week, you'll have to put on the hat and the Sherlock Holmes hat and the jacket. And
because I came down here, I picked up the baby, played with the baby, came down here, ate my figs, did some email work, and then ta-da.
Did you just say ate Your figs?
Yeah, I was eating figs while I
Oh
was.
my gosh!
Yeah, I was eating figs while I was doing some stuff.
I literally don't think I've ever met anybody that eats literal figs.
I don't even mind. I have like 1,000, millions
Wow.
of figs. My God, they never stop popping.
You got
If I
a
don't
fig
eat-
tree or something?
I have 2 fig trees. Oh, that's right.
Ah.
I'm a gardener.
Oh yeah,
I
no, you
garden.
told me your trees are named after Egyptian gods, right?
All my trees are girls. The one that give fruits, and all the boys are the evergreen, the boring ones.
So you've got Nefertiti and what are some other Egyptian goddesses?
So the one, the fig is
Cleopatra.
So no. So one of the figs, I have Olympia, which is my Quincy. One of the figs is named Figgy. The other one is called Azalea. How cool is that? Figgy Azalea. How cool is that?
Figgy Azalea, that's awesome.
Then my pomegranates are the 3 Fate sisters, okay? And then I have my because I have 3 of them. And then I have my citrus, which is Nekhabet and Kresh. It's just female names of Egyptian goddesses and mythology goddesses.
Don't you have one named Anoxunamun? Anoxunamun.
That's my car.
Okay.
Everybody has a name here. Chris says I'm an idiot, but I love it. I'm like, good morning.
I just sent Alicia a picture of this new. They have a new Funko Pop out of the Mummy, the guy from the Mummy, and he's got the the scene where his face is in the sandstorm and his jaw's all low, like ugh. They have a Funko Pop of that of the Mummy doing that with the big.
Oh my God! I don't mean to bore you all with my gardening, but no, there's a lot
You're
of
good.
gardening going on here. Alicia, any final thought?
I am really hoping our justice system
Do its
keeps
job.
them alive
Oh, nice. Yeah, for breakfast, dinner.
and does not give them any kind of bond. I just hope that they sit there until trial because I feel like that's going to be the best punishment for them.
I love it. I think the
I
justice.
don't want them to be able to be comfortable or have a comfy bed or nice meals while they're doing this.
Yeah.
I want them to have room temp water that is right
sleep on a
next to their
beanbag
toilet.
chair. Give
Yeah,
them a
I want them
beanbag
to
chair.
have an inch thick mattress on a piece of concrete that gets taken away at 9 a.m. I want them to have green bologna.
Yeah, and make them go on fucking
Green bologna.
ruck marches.
I
like
want
they
them to
made
have the
fucking Chicago,
nutrition loaf. I want them to be
No nutrition.
you know what I mean? Like when you they think you're gonna kill yourself or something, like they put you in like the turtle suit and they give you the nutrition loaf where they mix all the food together and they bake it and it's like meatloaf but with whatever the day's food is. And that's what you get, and it's a nutritional loaf, and they're like it has everything you need in there, and that's what they feed them. And it's
Remember that
really
scene,
nasty.
that scene from The Matrix where they get like the orange paste that just has like all the vitamins and stuff in it? Give
Yeah.
them that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
This is so funny. Sprouted almonds, but only 5.
I really hope that they get to enjoy what our justice system has to offer.
Beans, only 1 spoon.
And the fact that they are in for child abuse. I mean,
Oh yeah, they're gonna be
punches to
targeted.
the face at the
yeah,
courtyard.
they're gonna have to be. No, they won't be able to be in a courtyard.
Yeah,
They
they'll
will
be in
have to be solitary.
Oh really?
They, yeah. Oh gosh, no, they can't be in Gen Pop.
So they'll be isolated, like
they would get their
like
booties
they do
kicked.
Them. Perfect. Isolation, staring at the wall. Like
Yeah,
this.
exactly what they were doing to their kids. We're gonna treat you like how you were treating your children. Now you get to live that and see you can live your truth in a cell.
Yeah.
Connection.
Just instead of the X, it'll just be bars.
This is amazing. This is amaze balls. Amaze.
Okay,
balls.
that's my thought. I'm done.
That's a good one.
Look, my final thought for this is very simple. People need to sue more. I feel like everything I just heard, I would have thrown like 6,000 lawsuits already. What? I think if people sued more, people will be more careful to be more respectful of other people's situations. That's it. It sucks. I mean,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Because they get away with that because people let them get away with it. They are, it's like, I don't want to deal with the trouble. No, don't touch my kid. You're out of your mind. You will perish. No way. No way. I wish the child services, I wish the daughter made more noise, because then, what do you mean? 19 times? 19 times? You will find me on the street with a postcard, first with a team of lawyers suing everybody I could. The governor.
I wouldn't put any blame on the daughter. I mean, she's a victim herself,
No. What I'm saying is because according to the thing, it was like the daughter, the sisters, the grandmother, like all the family members. I'm like, what do you mean 19 times? You collectively? No. What do you mean? Nobody, they just sent a letter and then went to bed? I could never go to bed knowing my niece and nephews were being abused. That would never happen. You will hear me roar louder than anything else. Yeah, I will go to the Supreme Court if I have to, because what do you mean you go home and go to sleep when your niece and nephews are being tortured? Never. So I that's why I'm short-circuiting a lot, because I can't.
Same thing with the father. Like, I'd go down there and bust that door down if I thought my kids were being emaciated.
Exactly. What? If my kid? No, I'm going in there. First of all, police escort. Like, please, I need an escort for what? I think my child being abused again.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I might murder this person, so you need to be there.
Honestly, like, I would fidget. But I wish people would. I wish people were crazy like me. A little bit crazy, not too crazy. I wish you had a little bit of my craziness. It would make the world a better place, honestly.
Yeah. So there you go. Sue more people.
Sue! Everybody, you get a lawsuit. You get a lawsuit.
Well,
Please,
more importantly, like, stand up for yourself, and also like, own up to your obligations. Like, do the bare minimum at least. Like, if you have a child or a dog, you have the obligation to feed and take care of that thing. So learn from this woman's mistakes if we're going to do anything from this whole story. Like, fucking feed your kids. Yeah. And sue when it's applicable.
And sue. If you feel stuck, sue. If nobody hears you, sue.
All right.
Because
this was a good show.
Yes, it was a great show. So nice to see. Like, it's nice to see you guys. Look, I haven't done a live in 1,000 years. Like
sorry we missed you last week, guys. Some issues come up in both of our personal lives.
Yeah, it's nice. Whole lives. Anyway.
We will 100% be here next week. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, both of you. I really enjoyed this. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with you, and I hope y'all had fun. And yeah, I'll be watching you next week.
Yes. Thank you, Alicia. Olympia is screaming her heads off. Let me take you out.
Take us home.
Yeah, I'll take you home, and I'm going to see what's going on, because Chris is stomping. When Christopher stomps his feet, that means he's overwhelmed. All right. Yeah. Yes, because when he's overwhelmed, he stomps. Thump, 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 thump. I'm going to go up there and help him out maybe a little bit. Okay, listen, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Look. You're the best thing ever for both me and Beefy. Right, Beefy?
Absolutely. We love you guys. And be sure you come back next week, because we love seeing you. And sorry we missed last week. And thanks so much for being here today. It was a lot of fun. We appreciate you guys.
It's a great hangout. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And transmission.
Thank you for watching.